working on similar things as a child that I'm working on now as an adult. But somehow Lady Bird Johnson saw it as an indictment against litter and against, because she had this big anti-litter campaign. Well, I went through different mediums, oils and watercolors. I eventually came to acrylics because of how fast they dry and how immediate they are, because I work on a square inch at a time, and I add another complete square inch to the one I just painted, and every single inch is then totally finished. It's an entirely finished product, and I don't know what the rest of the painting is going to be, so I'm unraveling it like a scroll, and it tells me what's going on, what it wants, what's inside of me. It's almost like an archaeological dig into my own head, but it's done on the surface of the painting. So I have no sketches at all when I start out. I just start anywhere on the surface of the painting, and it may be like an eye appears, and then a head grows around the eye, and it expands out from there. And I found that acrylics were the best for that, because then they would dry immediately as I did them. Whereas oils, it takes a real long time for them to dry, and they would smudge. And, it's better if you're bringing something slowly to focus with oils, which is not what which is not what I do at all, and which is what art teachers always told me I was doing wrong. They always said that's not how you paint. The way you paint is that you do sketches first, and then you paint it loosely, and you bring all the details in later, slowly. But to me, that was an empty process, because where I was learning, where I was having, some kind of adventure, was in the creation of the subjects that I was dealing with. And if I had done a sketch first, then the sketch would have been where I learned, and it would be an empty, lifeless process to then just make a sketch into a painting. There'd be no learning process, no digging in my psyche. And to me, that was my main motivation for doing it in the first place, was to somehow express, internal pain and turmoil. So more of like on the way of like a self-imposed art therapy. That was more important to me than games of how to make a pretty picture. And from childhood, I was trying to produce these images that would be able to make you feel the pain and feel my own internal rage, to somehow exercise it, get it out and onto the surface of the painting. I was very influenced as a kid by religious paintings. I was brought up a Catholic, and in church the stages of the cross were really fascinating to me, and the crucifixion, portrayals of pain, were real. I could feel an empathy for. I could somehow identify with it. And my earliest, I still have some early drawings of the stages of the cross that I did. And I did. It was basic outline drawings of Christ being tormented and nailed to the cross, but then I added the blood with a red crayon later. The expression of pain is to me one of the main first motivators for art. I mean, I believe that art can express, or at least to me it's most valid when it expresses the emotions. And the emotion that I needed to express first, and still is most, the one that I need most to get out and to communicate, is pain. And it is, and from childhood it was. had to do with feelings of powerlessness in childhood, of being in this, family with a lot of problems. My father was, raging alcoholic, failure, and, I needed to somehow get control, to somehow gain power in this powerless situation, and I can do that with paints. I could, the world can make you feel powerless, but somehow if you can recreate the universe, somehow, as I said before, exorcise the demons. Now, demons are, in the Middle Ages, things like disease were thought to be demons, so that the very bacteria, and germs and things that are in the body that cause it to have disease, when looked at under a microscope, take on these images of demons and monsters. So they still can be called that. I'm not doing it as, I'm not saying it as some, melodramatic thing, but just to give it like, an idea of why the images would then turn to physical images of demons in my paintings too, because they exist like that, they can still be seen as that. And since, I was brought up a Catholic, and I still have a lot of Catholic values inside of me, and my basic structure is still Catholic. No matter how much, that I believe that a lot of it is bullshit, there's still, it still has a strong hold on me, and I still have sort of like a love-hate relationship with it. I appreciate its ritual and its drama and its attention to detail,